Hello and welcome everybody, my name is Savage and today we're going to be having a look at XRP. Before we get into the analysis, I'd just like to say thank you for watching this video. If you're enjoying the content, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and why not leave us some feedback down below in the comment section. Okay, so let's get into the price action here. There are a few things I want to talk about just on a bigger scale, on the macro scale here, before we go into the smaller moves within this. So there were two things that I've been currently tracking, and one of those was that we could be looking for the potential of a WXYX and then looking for that Z wave to the downside here. The one-to-one currently would take us towards that 1464, though there's still possibility we could push up further and test this trend line again, this channel. And basically this channel would be from the top here. So there is a potential we could see some upside within this. So we're going to be looking at this move within here. And it is possible we can argue that we could have had a completed low at this point and looking for this upside. Either way, I do expect to come down one more time, regardless of whether we follow this option or the alternative. Okay, so within this, basically would be looking at this as an A, B, and looking for the C wave to the upside. So the other thing I want to talk about is we were talking about a 5-wave move previously as well. So what we were looking for was actually that this was a 1, 2, looking for this as a 3rd, 4th, and a 5th. And we're looking to come down into this zone. So we did break down, but the structure does work, but we didn't quite get into this zone. So it is possible that we have completed here, and that we could actually, like I said, start to look for a move to the upside. So if this was the case, what we'd have is a truncation within this 5th wave, but it is dangerous to try and count truncations in real time. So we'd have to monitor some of these levels and see how we react around them, and whether we can actually manage to break some of these high points here at this 3725, up here at this 4190. You know, once we start to move up past those, then we could start to get some confidence. If I come in here actually and, you know, first we'd want to like break back above this potential trend line that we've got here, you know, that'll be offering us resistance there. You can draw this also from this point. You know, we would want to start to see some moves back above these to get a little bit of confidence within it, though we do have a lot of resistance above us still, so we would need to actually see how these reacts. We could actually even move up and test these lows and then start to break down. So there's a variety of things that need to happen for us to have confirmation that we have a low here. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about while we're on the topic of this 5-wave move, it is also possible that this 4th wave could be here. I was looking at this as part of this correction here to the upside, but it is possible that we actually completed here at this high point, and that this could also be a 1, 2, in which case we'd then be looking for, if I just flip it on here, where is it, extension, we could be looking at the fact that we have an additional 4th wave to come here. So if this is the case, what we'd be looking at, all of this is a wave 3, and then looking for that potential to have an additional 4th wave here. So this 4th wave target zone would be this 40 cent to this 34.52. And if we have a look up here, we can see this is a simple wave 2. So it's possible that we're going to get something more complex within this if it does develop as a 4th wave move. Basically, moving up past this 41.68 would invalidate the potential of this additional 4th wave here. So we just need to bear in mind that we could also see extension within this wave. So we want to really break first off above this 37.29 and then back above this high point here, this 41.90, for some clarity that these moves aren't playing out. But basically, if we do cross up back with the 4th wave here, with this move to the upside, it wouldn't be a 4th anymore then. Effectively, we would invalidate the potential of having this as a 4th wave as shown, 4th and 5th as shown here. But for as long as we remain below this 41.68, we need to just be aware that we could see something like this play out, whether it plays out as a triangle or a WXY or something to that effect, a more complex structure. Then we would be looking for this continuation to the downside. So if we do have this additional 5th wave to come, we'd still be looking for this move down in towards this 28.43, towards this 25.99. That's if we're looking at this as a 5-wave move. So we could still have this drop down here and look to take this low of this 28.77. So we just need to give it a bit of time. We need to see if there's any strength within the market, because you know, we can also talk about the fact that we have this head and shoulder pattern here. So we did break down, we've managed to break back above, but it's whether this manages to hold or not. If it doesn't manage to hold, then we could actually be looking for a much deeper target, and then potentially that that target area that we're talking about within this this WXY might be closer on the money than where we're currently sitting. So we'd have to just see how this plays out. If we manage to hold this this trend line to the upside here, we could look for some progression upwards, potentially as a C wave. But still, even if we did have a 5-wave move to the upside here, I would still be cautious, because this could still be a corrective structure and we could just look to break down at a later date. Though with everything else, with Bitcoin and Ethereum suggesting that we could potentially have a 3rd wave incoming, we need to just be careful that there aren't further extensions within this wave, within these waves, where we could actually look to push down further. So whether that is the fact that maybe this X wave actually ends here, and then we form an A, a B, and then we look to break down as a C wave, or whether we look to do it in a 5-wave move. There is a few options here, but most of them are pointing downwards. So we need to just take this sort of one stage at a time and then see how we get on for more confirmation. Okay, so now we're going to talk about, so we're talking about this potential for this 4th wave of developing as a complex move. We don't have enough structure here to sort of work out what that could be yet, but hopefully over time, if this does play out, we'll get a zigzag here and then potentially look to form a triangle or something to that effect. However, like I said, breaking above this 41.68 would indicate that we have a different structure playing out here, and it's potentially that C wave move to the upside. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off for a second here. If we were looking at the fact that the X wave actually completes here, what we could then do is look at this potentially as an A wave into this low point, where we have this as an A, a B, and we could be looking for this C wave push to the upside. So invalidation of this C wave, if we were looking at it in this way, would come by dropping below this 30 cents range again. And what we would be looking for is this is an A, this is a B, and then we'd be looking for a 5-wave move to the upside. So this is why, even if we do get a 5-wave move develop here to the upside, we need to be very careful, because this could just be a expanding flat correction, and we could look to break down. So basically with this, if this were to become a expanding flat, a interesting level would be between this 1382 to this 1.618 zone. So this 47 cent to this 44.39. You can also see that this was a previous support zone where we had some consolidation, so this could be expected to offer us resistance again. If we do manage to move back up there, what we'd be looking for is effectively evidence that we have a 1, looking for a 2, that's 3, 4, and a 5 up into this zone, and that could complete a corrective structure like this, and then we'd be looking for that move to the downside. Though, first of all, we would have to potentially retrace a little bit more, find support above this 30 cents zone, and then look to push up and take these high points. Until we take these high points, like I said, this zone here of this 41.90, we need to be aware that we could break down even further. So just be aware of that. Okay, so now talking about this, we were talking about a 5-wave move. So I'm going to just turn this off for a second. So within this structure, I'm going to come down onto the lower time frame. So if we are looking for the potential of moving up from this point, effectively what we'd be looking at potentially is this is a wave 1 here. This wave 1 could also be up here, but looking at this sub waves on the smaller time frames, I do think it ends here. And what we have is an A, B, and a C to the downside. So this would be a expanding flat correction. And just for further sort of confirmation, if we look at this, we can see we've come down to this 1.618, which is the common area for expanding corrections. So it's possible that that could be a wave 2 completed there, or alternatively, what we could see is that actually we have something like this where we form a bigger corrective move where this is an A, B, and then we look for that C wave to the downside to continue. So this would be looking potentially towards this 3288 to this 3120 as a maximum. If we didn't manage to break down, sorry, to hold this zone, it's possible that we could look to retake this low point. So we need to just bear in mind, like I said, until we take this high point here, this 4190. I'm gonna get an exact number on this. This 4194, effectively we could just extend, whether that is if we form this as an A, B, and a C, and then we look to break down, or we look for, or it just could carry on to roll over from this point. So we just need to be aware. This would be the support zone I'd expect to come in if we're looking for a bigger 5-wave move here, or for continuation to the upside in a C wave. So either way, we would be looking for this support zone to hold here. If we lose this, then it's potentially that we are still extending to the downside, and we'd have to just be careful that we didn't have something like this is a 1, this is a 2 as a flat correction, and then we look to break down. We'd get, obviously, we'd have more information once we get a bit more structure, but this is what I do think is happening. I think we could potentially already be in this third wave or this C wave to the upside, but there is also potential the B wave isn't, or wave 2 isn't completed, and we could look to move down here. If we fail to break above this this zone here of this 3605 and we face rejection, as we can see, we've come up into this 50% zone already, this 3453, and we're starting to get some rejection. But it's possible this could just be an A. We look to break down for a B and then push back up for a C. But if we do start to break down back into this support zone here, it's possible that we could look for this move to the upside. Though we would have to be careful because we would have lost that that trend line again, and we'd have to just be careful that we don't break through this, so we don't form something like this where we come down, we break through this, we come back up and retest it, and then we look to break down further. So this would be a sort of losing this 30-cent zone would indicate to me that we are continuing to the downside, and would have to revisit the wave structure and see exactly what we would think is going on at that point. Sometimes, unfortunately, we just got to wait and see what the market gives us. So this is basically looking for that breakout only by moving up for past this. It depends where we take this wave 2. If the wave 2 is completed here and we're looking for the potential of a breakup from this point, we'd be looking for this this zone here of this 4355. As a typical third wave. Alternatively, if we take this slightly lower, if we went down to the 0.618 area, then it would come down to that 4336, and then finally if we drop down towards this 3120 zone, that area would then be that 4108. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Obviously, we need to bear in mind this could just be an ABC, so those one-to-one targets off of the 786 would be 3699. Off the 0.618 would be 3812, and then alternatively off the 50% would be the 3896. Off our current price, 3926 would be the area to watch, and that would be looking out for the possibility that we could have this as an A, a B, and a C, and then we actually just look to break to the downside. So there's a lot of things that can happen here, so we just need to wait for a bit more sort of confirmation on it, and wait for the structures to develop a little bit. We need to just be a bit patient because this could always roll over. So these are some of the danger zones that I'm sort of looking at, and basically within these, what this would be is areas that we could look for further rejection. So there's two ways that I was looking at this, and that is the potential that we could see something like this, where either we have this as a 1-2, where we look for rejection within this zone. Obviously, moving back above this high point here of this 4194 would effectively make this irrelevant because we would have passed it already. But even if we do move back up there, we would have to be careful that we don't have something else forming here where we have whether it's a 1-2 or an ABC. Basically, we'd be looking at the potential that from this high point up here, we could see further rejection and breaking to the downside. So that's basically what we're talking about with that WXY option, where we could see that push to the upside and then that continuation to the downside. Breaking above some of these high points, and you know, breaking these downwards trend lines would give us a bit more confidence that we've got some potential to move to the upside, though we do have a lot of horizontal resistance in the way, so we just need to bear that in mind. And yeah, if this breaks to the downside, it could get quite nasty as a head and shoulders pattern. So we just need to be aware that we could see that drop off if we fail to break back above these zones. Okay. So I hope everyone has enjoyed the video, and if you found it useful, please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave us some feedback in the comment section down below. Okay everyone, and until we see each other in the next video, take care out.